You are listening to
Pop Culture Pasta. Hey Dave, I'm thinking about doing another revolution. Do you want to join up? I might need some help with organizing the pamphlets though.
Pop Culture Pastor.
Hey, Cody.
That's my name.
Where's Princess Kate, Cody? Cody, where's Kate Middleton? Where is she?
I have so many theories.
We were gone at Con, so this was kind of blowing up all weekend, and I didn't really delve into this
Oh, I did.
until like the last couple days. But Cody, where's the princess? What's going on here?
If you're believing the royal palace, then she's just had surgery and she's choosing to recover behind closed doors.
Yeah, TLDR for us. TLDR, just give us the basic lowdown of why everyone's in an uproar.
Okay, so roughly like 45 days ago, she had surgery, abdominal surgery. Rumors are it might have been a little bit more intensive than what they had anticipated. And so she had not been photographed in a long time. Everyone knew that she had announced, oh, I'm going to recover kind of in private. And then everyone's like, well, we should be seeing you like with your kids or your husband once in a while. And then she released, allegedly, some photos of her, and the prince released some photos of her with the kids. And then people are like, nope, these are old photos that you have inserted into a new background or a new scene. This is a bad Photoshop. We caught you, buddy.
Yeah, someone seriously underestimated the internet. Because it was bad Photoshop. Once people started pointing it out, like it's not the kind of thing I would notice, but once people start pointing it out, you're like, oh yeah, okay. And then they're all wearing the same clothes pretty much that they wore on this one public outing back in like November.
Yep.
Wild. This is wild. So what do you think happened? Do you think she's alive? People are like, is she alive?
That is
the person they paraded out on the appearance. So did you see the appearance in the car?
Oh,
with the sunglasses?
yes.
I mean, it doesn't even look like her.
Then there's like the conspiracy theorists that the prince is cheating on her with somebody of Shumley, the Marchioness of Shumley.
The what is the what?
Exactly.
Man, it's just getting worse too.
It is.
Like, and I guess that's my whole thing now is, well, if she's recovering, certainly she should be able to get up and like come to the window or come out to the balcony and wave. Like why?
The queen did that for like 8 months while she was battling cancer and was like wheelchair bound the last 6.
At this point, why wouldn't you just, all right, everybody's going crazy. Just go out to the balcony, wave at the paparazzi, and then we can get past this.
Rumors are she also might have fled the Kensington Palace and is getting rid of her royal duties, just like Diana before her.
Spanish media, where she got her surgery, apparently, was reporting she was in a coma.
That is also a possibility.
This is wild. I just, I don't keep up on the royal news. And then I thought somewhere around Monday afternoon, I'm like, why is everyone talking about Kate Middleton? What is happening? And then I started seeing like the videos and everything. I'm just like, what?
It is weird because my timeline has people like on the far right, far left, and they're all in uproar about this.
Oh.
And a lot of people are like, I don't care one bit about the royal family, but this is intriguing.
All I'm saying is if she's gone, we need to find out where OJ was. And maybe possibly Kato Kalin. I just don't trust him. Someone disappeared. Where's OJ? I think he might have done it.
I like to think that this is our chance as humans right now to live out our wildest Super Mario dreams. Save a princess.
Yeah. I'm just kidding, by the way. I'm sure she's fine.
I hope so.
But yeah, it's certainly weird. Welcome. This is Pop Culture Pastor. My name is Dave. Cody's here.
I am.
And it's just us this time, this episode. Sometimes we have guests, sometimes we don't.
YOLO.
And later on, we're going to get to a Be Kind Rewind, where we go back and we watch an older movie and then review it and go through it. And so we're going to do that. But first, I need to update our March Madness breakfast cereal brackets.
Let's see how angry I'm going to be.
Your votes are in. And the second round is set, or as we like to call it, the Sweet 16, because we only started off with 32.
Oh, we should have started with more than 64, like 128.
We'd have been scraping the bottom of the barrel. We'd have been, that'd have been rough. So Cinnamon Toast Crunch, obvious victory. All the 1 seeds moved on. Cinnamon Toast Crunch was a 1 seed. They're going to play in the second round. Cocoa Pebbles that took down Honeycombs in your votes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. 3 of the 5 seeds beat their 4 seeds. So 3 of the 4.
Okay.
Yeah, that's wild. So maybe some bad seeding on the independent entities part that seeded these.
Look at you, independent person.
But Cinnamon Toast Crunch will face Cocoa Pebbles. Golden Grams was victorious over Honey Bunches of Oats, and they'll go up against Lucky Charms.
They're magically delicious.
Golden Grams, Lucky Charms. That should be a little bit closer, I would think. Reese's Puffs, the 1 seed that they took down Cheerios. They'll go up against Count Chocula, which upset Cocoa Puffs.
I will say, you had called for Cheerios to upset Reese's Puffs, and it did not happen.
Wasn't my fault. I voted for Cheerios. Reese's Puffs are gross.
They have the best jingle out of any cereal out there.
Never heard it.
Oh, my goodness.
Reenact it. Sing the jingle.
You rap the jingle.
Oh, okay.
It was a rap.
Rap it. Let's go, Slim Shady.
Not today.
Reese's Puff just makes me mad because I think Captain Crunch Peanut Butter Crunch should be on here, and it's not, because I think Captain Crunch Peanut Butter Crunch is 10 times better than Reese's Puffs. But apparently I'm outvoted. I think most people dig Reese's Puffs.
It's peanut butter chocolate flavor.
Yeah, I know what it is. But Captain Crunch is just peanut butter flavor, and it's simple. It's simple yet refined. Trix took down Wheaties. They'll go up against Fruity Pebbles in the second round.
Well, I'm torn on that one. 2
fruity cereals, yeah. That should be a tough one. Fruit Loops on the other side of the bracket, the 1 seed over there, will face Frosted Mini Wheats. Frosted Mini Wheats beat Cocoa Krispies.
That was to be expected.
Was it?
It was.
I just think Cocoa Krispies are better than Cocoa Pebbles. So Cocoa Pebbles moves on over Honeycombs, which I like. I don't know. I wasn't happy with some of the outcomes here. But it'll be Fruit Loops and Frosted Mini Wheats. A 6 seed upsetting a 3 seed. This one really made me mad because Honey Nut Cheerios are the spawn of Satan. Just brutal. Honey Nut Cheerios upsets Honey Smacks and will face the 7 seed, which upset the 2 seed Life Cereal.
Ew.
Life Cereal and Honey Nut Cheerios, like two underdogs. What have you ever had Life Cereal?
I have. I don't care if Mikey likes Life Cereal. I don't.
There'll be no Mikey slander on this pod. The 1 seed Cap'n Crunch will take on Cookie Crisp, the only 4 seed to move out of its first round matchup.
That was the 4 seed I was willing to bet my whole house on.
And then the 2 and 3 at the bottom of the last bracket. Frosted Flakes will take on Apple Jacks, which that should be a pretty wild matchup. Somebody asked why Apple Jacks don't taste like apple, and I thought they don't. They're like apple and cinnamon.
They are apple and cinnamon. There's a hint of apple.
I mean, yeah, it's not. I mean,
cinnamon's a strong flavor.
You want more apple? Just cut up pieces of apple and throw it in your cereal. Getting picky. So the second round matchups are set. Those should go up. Yeah, probably Saturday. We'll put the first set up, And we'll go with 2 matchups each day. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday on the community page. If you follow Pop Culture Pastor, that's fine, but you're not going to see any of these polls. You got to join the Pop Culture Pastor community group.
Be a part of the community, please.
Yeah, it's a group which allows you to see more of the posts. Plus, it allows more interaction on our part. We can have more conversations, and you can share things with us, with the group.
There have been some very cool conversations in the community group around this cereal and around other things. But if you're not part of it, you don't know it.
That's true. That's correct. So we went to Planet Comic Con in Kansas City at Bartle Hall over the weekend.
Did.
And had a blast. It was great. We met lots of new friends, had a bunch of great conversations. We got our picture taken with the Fonz.
We said good evening to Barry Bostwick.
We said good evening to Barry Bostwick, who played disapproving dad in several movies and disapproving mayor in Spin City.
And disapproving boyfriend in Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Skeet Ulrich walked right past me. The girl, Toph from
Avatar, The Last Airbender,
said hello to me.
She seemed very nice.
Yeah, she was real nice. I didn't know who she was. She walked right up to us saying, "Hey, guys, how are you?" And I was like, "Good. Aren't you nice?" And, then she walked away, and I was like, "Who was that?"
So I was in a line at the booth next to hers, but it wasn't for the person that was the booth next to hers, because the person was Rufio from Hook.
Yeah, let's talk about this. So day one, Cody disappears from the booth at around 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yes.
He's going to wait in line for his friend Jackson, geek of the round table, Jackson Chauncey. He's going to get his Funko Pop signed by the Arby's guy.
Nope.
Not the Arby's guy. I don't know why I thought Keith David was the voice of the Arby's commercials, because it sounds just like him.
I like to think he voices everything.
But apparently the Arby's guy is Ving Rhames, which, no way. I just was sure it was Keith David.
I mean, one of them has gargoyles and Spawn, and the other one has helped Tom Cruise with impossible missions.
Yeah.
So
yeah, apparently I've been mistaken about that the whole time, but I've been bothering Cody by continuing to call Keith David the Arby's guy.
Definitely not the Arby's guy.
It just sounds better than the Franks and Beans guy. The dad from Something About Mary, because he gets real mad at Ben Stiller. He's like, "Well, son, how'd you get the beans about the Frank?" Anyway, you had to have been there. We won't get into what he's talking about, because this is a family show.
It is a family show.
But Something About Mary is a hilarious movie. One of the funniest movies I've ever seen. Cody gets in line at 3:30, and then he's just gone.
It was like an episode of Unsolved Mysteries.
The con ends at 8 o'clock, and Cody's like messaging us. Well, I think I should be getting his autograph right at 8. He was off by an hour and a half. So they basically kick us out of the con area because they're securing it, which they're doing a good job. They're trying to secure the area. You have to. There's so much goods, And they kind of shuttle us down there, and Cody's like not even close. I mean, he's so far back in this line, and I'm like, why are all these people in line to see the Arby's guy?
Because he's not the Arby's guy. He's the Halo 2 guy.
So apparently he's a character actor. He's just that guy from that thing. But apparently he's been that guy in that thing in several geek properties,
including Rick and Morty. He's like the president. He was in Community for a season. A lot of weird movies. They Live.
So essentially, Cody's in line for 6 hours. Put yourself...
He was in Roadhouse as well.
Like, look, I got a lot of friends. I don't know anyone I would wait in line 6.5 hours for, except for Jesus. Jesus is the only guy I'm waiting in that long of a line for. And I'm going to be miserable the whole time. Like, I'm not going to be happy about it. I'm like, all right, Jesus, come on. If you wanted to get here a little early, that'd be great.
So 3:30, I go walk up, and I am not close to Celebrity Row. And I'm like, oh, we're a ways back. And then, like, more people start piling behind me. This line stretches from the back side of Celebrity Row clear up to the T-shirt tower, which is in the middle of the con.
I mean, you have to have been there.
Yes.
But if you were there, you know the T-shirt tower.
And the thing is, in the part of Celebrity Row that he was in, the line was weaving back and forth. The next row of Celebrity Row, they had the line weaving back and forth in Rufio's line because he wasn't there till Saturday. And then it stretched straight back to the T-shirt tower.
Yeah. Basically, what we're saying was there was a ton of people that waited in 6-hour-long lines concurrently. The Arby's guy, Keith David, and who's not the Arby's guy, and Matthew Lillard at the same time from the first Scream. Also
Scooby-Doo.
Shaggy from Scooby, although someone said he was the original Shaggy and a little piece of me died.
That would be Casey Kasem.
Yeah. I was just like, listen, kid, he's not the original Shaggy. Okay?
Get out of here
He's
with
a
that.
very likable dude. I love some Matthew Lillard, but he's not the OG Shaggy.
So I almost left the line at 6 o'clock because it was questionable if we were going to get to him or not by 8. But then a lady that worked there was like, Keith has said that he will sign everyone's autographs. No matter how long it takes, he will sign it. And I'm thinking, my friend Jackson, he's about to be a dad here in a few weeks. This could be a meaningful gift. And so I guilted myself into it. And I'm waiting, and Jackson's like messaging me like, can you see Keith? And I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
I can see the Avatar lady. I can see Dermot Mulroney. I could throw this at Dermot Mulroney because I had a Funko Pop from The Princess and the Frog.
Do you perhaps want Dermot Mulroney to sign Keith David's Funko Pop?
I offered Dermot and Barry Bostwick.
Barry Bostwick.
I really just wanted to meet Barry Bostwick.
Barry Bostwick, whose line was shockingly short.
It was shocking to me.
No way. Oh, man. So, yeah, we need to have Jackson on because I think he needs to make some sort of public declaration. Like I said, I wouldn't wait in line. I don't think I've ever had anyone do anything for me that's equivalent to what you did for Jackson. There's no one in my life who sacrificed that much.
Danielle is probably rolling her eyes as she's listening.
Danielle would not wait in a 6.5-hour line for me. I can tell you that right now. And she definitely wouldn't. She definitely wouldn't have done it for money, because, like, to pay someone to do it.
Yeah,
she's not a big fan of the signatures and the waiting in lines and the photo ops and all that. She's like, people pay money for that? I'm like, yeah.
So I think my beef was like at 8 o'clock when the autograph, or when the whole con was supposed to end, that you should have been able to either buy a photo or buy an autograph, one or the other, not both. And if you do an autograph, it's only one item. But there were people still like, oh, I got 15 items. Now, sure, they paid for the 15 items, but that's ridiculous. You're taking up too much time now.
So I was reading the comments. So Planet Comic-Con on their social media said they wanted people's opinions of how they did, how it went. There were a lot of disgruntled people, I think. Now, let me break this down for you. Planet Comic-Con's 5 football fields long in Bartle Hall in Kansas City. I think they had more people here this one than they did last year. And last year was a nut house.
It was.
It was crazy. And so I'm inclined to say I think they did a pretty good job considering, but there were a lot of people that said you need to cap it, which maybe they do need to cap like they do the photo ops.
I think with the autograph line, you should have to like pre-purchase a slot or pre-purchase an autograph during a certain time, and you can't get extra. You just get what you purchase, and then they cap off like, okay, he can sign 40 people's items for a 30-minute period. So like break it down to like individual things. Like if you want 6 items signed, you have to buy 6 slots, right? And then there's just so many slots. If you're getting one thing signed and one selfie with them, that's 2 slots, right? Like something like that. Because that was, I think, the problem that you were saying was you had fast pass people who they were just allowing in front of all these people waiting in line, and some of those people were going and getting like 8 things signed. Ridiculous. Yeah, and clearly that's when it gets annoying because those people are just like they're flipping. Yes, they're trying to sell merchandise. Now I'm not sure who's gonna buy the signed inflatable baseball bat by the Arby's guy, but to each their own. I will not buy it, but anytime you shake this hand, and you can't see that I'm raising my right hand, you are shaking the hand that shook Keith David's hand. Keith David, yeah. And the Fonz, but... Yeah, we met the Fonz! How cool was that? He was so nice. Yeah, he was. You could tell, you could tell he was a little overwhelmed. He's an older fella. Me too, Henry. Me too. And boy, they just rush you in there. You have all the time. Like he wanted to greet. He wanted to greet everyone, but they're rushing you in here. We had all enough time saying, "Oh, it's so nice to meet you," and he was very genuine. And then we were in it, and then we did the thing where we don't know if we're putting our arms around each other, but then so me and the Fonz put our arms around each other, but then you did the double thumbs. So he put one hand out and did the double thumbs, and then I awkwardly took my hand off of the Fonz and did the double thumbs by the time the picture got taken. But so it looks like in the picture that Fonz has just got his arm around me, and that's the only arm placed on anyone else. And my wife was like, the Fonz put his arm around you. And I was like, yeah, it was awkward. Yeah. So my wife actually got a longer interaction with Charlie Hunnam. Yeah, from Sons of Anarchy. Yes. And they had a weird conversation. Cody was intensely jealous. A little bit. I thought Cody was going to go ham on Charlie Hunnam. But then Ron Perlman would have jumped in and it just got ugly. It would have. I'm a little worried about what the Perlman would do. They're the Sons of Anarchy, man. Although Charlie Hunnam's apparently pretty little, according to your wife. Yes. Smaller than you. Dermot Mulroney also. Smaller than me. Dermot Mulroney might be a hobbit. Also, he might be Dylan McDermott. We're looking into it. Yep. Interesting side note. Sylvester Stallone listed on Wikipedia at 5'10". Not a chance. He's more like 5'5", 5'6". He's very small. Oh, burn notice. Yeah. They do some creative filming with old Sly. Also, besides meeting a whole bunch of cool people, we did get to do a wedding. You married people at our booth. People were stopping and observing and witnessing. And Cody was I thought Cody should have hammed it up a little more. I really wanted him to be I'm not the greatest showman. Dearly beloved of Comic-Con, we're gathered here today to dress up as weird characters, but also to witness the joining of these two nerds. So talking with the couple to be married, the bride to be married, before. And she wanted it kind of close to traditional, but also wanted it to be at Comic-Con. And I'm like, well, that's neat. I like that. Now, if she had stated, you go all Hugh Jackman from The Greatest Showman on this, I would have. But I wasn't going to if you don't ask for it. You got to ask. I now pronounce you the greatest show. If Cody would have been all Broadway, it would have been great. Oh, Comic-Con missed out.
It was very cool, nonetheless. In all honesty, it was a very cool thing. By the way, we're licensed ministers. We can do that.
We can.
If you want to get married at Comic-Con, Cody did know these folks.
Yes.
Like, it wasn't just a random spur of the moment thing. So, if you do want to get married, you need to give us some advance warning, because we would like to have some Zoom calls with you and
see what's going on within your heart.
Yeah. Because that is an important part of it. A lot of people do premarital counseling. Mm-hmm. So
I encourage it. Like, it's not necessarily a super must, but it does help.
But yeah, we do marry people. I've done funerals.
Oh, I've done so many of those.
I can do a geek funeral, I suppose, if that's your thing. And we do speaking engagements. So, message us if you'd like more information.
Yes. I could be leading a talk about Val Kilmer. Who knows?
Okay.
You have to invite,
Yeah.
and then we'll know.
All right. Anything else about Planet Comic-Con that we want to tell everyone about?
Got to meet a lot of cool people at our booth. That's it. They're nice. Not too many mean people, which is good. Yeah. I'm not about meeting mean people.
We met a lot of new friends.
Yes.
And to everyone, we could go name by name, because we did meet a lot of people, and I remember a lot of you. But we're not going to, because that would take too long.
Also, Justin John was at our booth helping man the fort, especially while we were meeting Henry. And then we recorded a podcast.
Yeah.
During
I shared the link on our page. So if you haven't heard it yet, go look on our page and check out the pod we recorded with some other fellows, another pod. They had us as guests. They wanted to interview us for some weird reason.
I didn't get it at the time, but it was fun.
Also, as you're hearing this, we were also live last night with the Rushmore guys on YouTube.
Yes.
There's our daily or our annual siren in every episode.
You're welcome.
But yeah, we're on the Rushmore show on YouTube, so go check that out as well. We were guests on there. Hey, Cody, we need to go out to the lobby. So, because you need dried up, shriveled fruit covered in chocolate. So we're going to go out to the lobby and answer listener questions. Come with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the lobby.
All right, we're in the lobby. I'm going to get some nachos because that's what I love.
You are all about the nachos.
I don't drink pop anymore, so most movie theaters do not have great selections if you're not going to drink pop. You could buy like a bottle of like some juice for $8.
What about slushies?
I don't know. Have you been to a theater where our theater doesn't have slushies?
I've been to theaters that have slushies.
Oh, wow. Those must be fancy ones. Our theater needs an upgrade. We're a small town, but it could use an upgrade.
Not going to call you out, theater, because that would be rude.
I'm not calling them out. I'm just saying, like, put a little, fundage into your selection. At least, what I would do if I was this theater, I would get rid of the pop in the back and just get some of those, Coke machines where you do it yourself.
And have 100 different options.
Because honestly, our theater gets bogged down when it has a popular movie in, and because they're trying to get all the stuff together, and that would just be one less thing. And you'd have a better selection, and you'd put, kind of pawn that off on the theater goer.
Yes. I'm not going to say the comment I was going to say about the typical viewing audience at our theater.
Oh, wow. All right. Okay, so we're in the lobby. This is where we answer listener questions. I've picked out a few here. Will in Livermore, California.
Hi, Will.
He asks, how do you think COVID has changed or influenced pop culture today?
So at Planet Comic Con, while I was waiting in a 6-hour line, I definitely saw some people that they definitely were more cautious around like that large group. Some people that had been walking around without mask put on mask.
Wow. Okay.
Because they're like, oh, well, we're stuck here and we're not really moving. And trust me, like it was baby steps, like every 30 minutes. But I also think like it has influenced how our filming of shows and movies has gone. And you also see a lot more advertisements on social media for these virtual cons where you can pay to have something autographed and they'll ship it to you. And the person will be on the screen. You'll get to say like, hey, loved you in this show. Toodle, snickerdoodle. So I definitely think that COVID has had an influence on some aspects, but in other regards, I think it's pretty much been like, oh, that was a weird, rough couple years.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned how it's changed the conventions for sure. I think it has changed our movies, television, our entertainment in subtle ways. We've talked a lot about Marvel here in the past year or so, and just in general about the political nature. So everybody seems to be angry. There's this polarization. And usually that's centered around our politics, like where we stand as far as our politics go. And the sides have gotten farther apart. And you're forced to either say, well, do we just care a lot more about politics? Which I would say, no, I don't think that's the case. I just think we're angry and we don't really know how to channel it very well. I think our mental health has declined and in ways that we're not really aware of. Yeah. And so that makes us angry and it affects the creators too. So I think the reason people want to be more political and everything's more polarized is because we're angry. Then that makes its appearance in our entertainment and the things we create, that's not any different than art's always been.
Yeah. Art reflects the person, what they're going through, what their state of mind is. And so, yeah, I definitely agree that the mental health aspect of not only the producers of content, but also the people that take it in is significantly altered.
I will give you for example, I think She-Hulk, which I found entertaining at some points. There were some points where I just didn't care for it all. I was bored by it in some points, but there were some episodes I was really entertained by. But She-Hulk, I feel like unnecessarily angry at parts.
Yeah.
Like just unnecessarily. Like if you want to make it a storyline and part of the story, fine. But it really wasn't. It all felt shoehorned in because like there was a story going on and then these parts were just kind of added in. And it just seemed like there are ways to do smart commentary, social commentary in your stories. But She-Hulk just felt like it was just angry and in your face. Because they were reacting to a particular group of trolls. And we'll call them trolls because that's what they and basically when you do that, the trolls win. That's what they wanted. They wanted you to react to it in a strong way. And so I just think all of that happens because we're still kind of mentally recovering from COVID, but I do think we're on the downward side of it for sure.
And also like the review bombing or like the complete opposite that this is Citizen Kane.
Marvel's a Citizen Kane, Cody.
And you could just say it's a movie. It was fun.
Yeah.
Like not a ton of meat to the bone.
Yeah.
And in parts it might have lulled, but overall it was okay. Like you can be balanced in your assessment. You don't have to go to one extreme or the other.
Yeah. Jim from Pittman, New Jersey.
Oh, we're going coast to coast.
Yeah, that's right, man. Our listeners span the United States, the continental United States, baby.
We're coming for you, Hawaii.
He says, as a pastor myself, I know it's not an easy life. What would you guys say is the hardest part of being pastors? Oh, we're going real.
Oh, I wasn't ready for real talk. So I do think that there is this, it's kind of a juggling act of you have to try to be present in every moment, especially with your congregation, whether it's Sunday morning or you're doing the pastoral visits and the hospital stuff. You have to be fully present. You also are held to a higher standard, which you should be, but that weighs on you because, like, if you do something that's a little sideways, like you come across a little gruff, something as little as that has an effect on the people around you that you're shepherding, and they're like, oh, well, if Pastor Cody's this way in front of people, he must be this way worse, 10 times worse at home or at his other job. And no, like, I'm human. I have ebbs and flows, and usually they're not too extreme.
Yeah.
But then also, like, all that just weighs on you, and it's real easy to become mentally worn down. And that's the point you learn, yeah, Jesus took naps.
Yes.
I need to take a nap.
Amen.
I need to take a Sabbath because I am not complete. I am worn down. And so self-care, that probably is the answer. That's the hardest part, is self-care when you're in this full-time, or you're trying to juggle the duties of this while having another job, while having a marriage, and all those sorts of things.
Yeah. That's definitely true. The pressure you feel if you care about your job. Like, look, pastors are the same as any other people group. We got the same percentage of yahoos.
Oh, yeah.
that pretty much other people group has. But if you care about what you're doing, you believe in it, there's a lot of pressure on a pastor. So I have a couple things. One is in this day and age, there's a view of Christians in America specifically that comes from a lot of the things we just talked about with the polarization. And so some people, when they find out I'm a pastor, they assume I feel certain ways that they've heard in the social arena, the narrative, the political stuff. And that's hard, having people prejudge what they think you're like. Sometimes we run into that at Comic Cons where, like, people come up and they're kind of looking for an argument. They think we're going to engage with them like that, and they find out we're not like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the position that people take on us when basically we want to love them and tell them how valuable they are. The second thing is, for the people that are in our churches, the people that were in charge of shepherding, man, sometimes there's just the hardest thing about being a pastor is there's no way to know whether someone really gets it.
Yeah.
And for me, I know that this belief in my life has given me peace. It's changed me. And I just want everyone else to experience that. And you hope that they're experiencing that, but there's no way to actually be sure. And that also wears on you because you care. You care about these people.
Faith is so unique in the regards that it's something that is very individual, very personal, that your faith life is between you and God. But then there's this component that you really can't have a good faith life if you're not connected to the body of Christ. And, like, you can be connected to the body and yet be suffering in that individual aspect, and vice versa. You can be doing fairly well in the individual aspect but really struggle with the church. And so, yeah, there's definitely it's multifaceted. That's what I was trying to say.
Kyle from Tonganoxie, Kansas, first of all, asks great questions because we've used his a lot.
We have.
He says, I recently posted the trailer for Kevin Costner's new 2-part Western epic Horizon. He did that in the community group, by the way.
If you aren't a part of it, you missed it.
Pop Culture Pastor community group. He posted the trailer for Kevin Costner's new 2-part Western epic Horizon. It has an equally epic cast.
I was going to say, I'm looking at the cast, and this is jam-packed.
Yeah, there's a ton of people in this. Sienna Miller, the bad guy from Stranger Things, the guy from Avatar, Sam Worthington, not the Arby's guy, Luke Wilson, Jenna Malone, Giovanni Ribisi, Thomas Hayden Church, Michael Rooker.
So I was going to say the guy from Wings, but you said Thomas Hayden Church. So.
Too much respect. You put some respect on Thomas Hayden Church's name. Sandman. That's that's who he is. Yeah, the trailer looked incredible and ton of people in it. His question is, has Costner upped his tongue acting game as well? I think I saw in the trailer a couple just brief glimpses of the greatest mouth actor in the game at work.
I like to think he's actually just slightly dehydrated. He's trying to make sure that his gums, teeth,
Do you think he has dentures?
that they're slightly moist so his lips don't stick when he's talking and he looks like a fool.
Dude, you said moist. Why?
You're welcome.
It is probably something like some health related, and like we're making it a joke, and then I'm gonna feel bad. But
He has dry mouth or con mouth, and you're making fun of him.
Christy Westbrook from right here in our hometown of Schnoot.
I work with her.
Do you really?
I do.
Oh, okay. What are your favorite pizza toppings?
Okay.
Cody likes cheese.
How dare you? Although a good cheese pizza is quality.
He's a simple man.
I am. So, I mean, pepperoni is like the king of the simple pizzas for me. A good chicken Alfredo pizza with the Alfredo sauce. Oh, chef's kiss. And then barbecue beef pizza. I love it.
Yeah.
But I don't want any veggies.
Oh, see, that's where I differ completely. Bless you.
Yeah, I mean, if I wanted a salad, I'd just eat a salad.
Oh, come on, stop it. I like meat on the pizza, but I like the veggies too, especially mushrooms and olives, onions, green peppers.
Might as well just order a dessert pizza while we're going for it.
Put it all on there. I love it all. But I also like a good specialty pizza, the chicken Alfredo pizza, chicken bacon ranch.
Oh, that's good too.
Surprisingly, I used to like getting a thin crust from Domino's with chicken, bacon, and jalapenos. Way better than you'd think.
You lost me with the jalapeno.
The jalapeno?
Yep. It's a little too spicy, Dave.
I don't like a lot of them, but a light jalapeno with chicken and bacon, yeah, that's pretty good. All right. That's all your questions we got time for this time. Meet us back in the main studio, in the lair, the Pop Culture Pastor lair. We're going to talk about The Mummy from 1999, not Tom Cruise's Mummy.
Ew.
We'll be right back. Okay, welcome back. It's a Be Kind Rewind week. Means we are going back in time 25 years, Cody, to 1999. We're partying like it's 1999. This movie's 25 years old. I can't even really believe that.
It sounds right. I feel it in my bones.
We are talking about 1999's Brendan Fraser starring movie, The Mummy. The Mummy, 61% on Rotten Tomatoes. Here is the synopsis. The Mummy, let me get my voice, my movie theater voice. The Mummy is a rousing, suspenseful, and horrifying epic about an expedition of treasure-seeking explorers in the Sahara Desert in 1925. Stumbling upon an ancient tomb, the hunters unwittingly set loose a 3,000-year-old legacy of terror. which is embodied in the vengeful reincarnation of an Egyptian priest who had been sentenced to an eternity as one of the living dead in a world.
Zombies.
Came out May 4th, 1999, directed by Stephen Sommers. Does have 2 sequels and a spin-off distributed by Universal Pictures. This is crazy. Budget was $80 million, made over $400 million, which back in 1999, this movie was a serious hit. Huge hit.
I feel like I might have actually watched this in theaters.
Oh, I know I did.
I know I owned it on VHS.
Yeah. Just in a broad sense, was this a childhood favorite then? Was this a movie you remember liking? Because I remember liking it a lot.
Loved it, but I also was really big into Indiana Jones. And so I'm like, archaeology, it's fun.
Yeah, it's this movie is considered a remake of 1932's The Mummy. Did you know that? Like, it's kind of categorized by Universal as that, even though it really has nothing to do with the original Mummy.
/ like, it would be 9-day difference just based off the technology alone. So
You said you had a couple factoids, interesting facts. I've got some too, but I'll let you go first.
okay, so the first factoid is the first guy that dies is Mr. Burns, or the first guy that gets attacked and eaten is Mr. Burns, played by Tuck Watkins, who you might know better from Parks and Rec as Pistol Pete, the guy that they get to come out and slam dunk the ball when Leslie starts running for office. Yeah, that guy.
Oh, yeah, you're right. He was. I didn't even recognize him.
He's from Kansas City also.
Tuck?
Tuck.
Tuck's from Kansas City. Wow, okay. A local celebrity.
Then one more, which is Stephen Dunham, which he is also one of the treasure hunters that eventually gets eaten.
Yeah.
First cousins of Jeff Dunham.
Oh, wow. I see a resemblance. Steven's got more of the chiseled jawline.
And then there's something about, for the Christian audience.
Okay. You're going to save it for deeper themes, or you want to tell them now?
It's a person.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Eric Avery, who played Dr. Terrence Bay, who was the head of the museum and secretly a part of the group protecting all of the world. He is in The Chosen.
Yeah, so Eric is Avari, or I don't know how to say his name, but very famous character actor. He's like up there with Keith David. He's been in tons of things.
He has been in tons of things.
He is in The Chosen. He's Nicodemus, correct?
Yes.
In The Chosen, and he was in Stargate. He's been in tons of things.
So, yeah, I'm watching this, and I'm like, I've seen this guy, but older.
I don't know what you're talking about. This dude's looked the same for the last 30 years.
Pretty much. But, yes, I'm like, oh, he's in that Chosen show that I've seen, like, 2 episodes of.
Other things that you might not know about this, because this ends up being kind of a family-ish adventure type of movie. It has some scares in it. It has they've retained some things from the old script. But did you know originally the director of this movie was meant to be George Romero?
Oh, that would be a much different movie.
Yeah, the guy behind the Night of the Living Dead. He was a big zombie, all the zombie movies, which makes a lot of sense because there are like zombie-like
entities
in this movie at some point in the movie. He was originally tapped to direct. After he left, the script gets reworked, and the new director is none other than Clive Barker, Hellraiser guy, Clive Barker.
Oh.
Yeah, right? Like, whoa. Also would have been a completely different movie, and apparently it was. The project was said to have become way darker, way more violent. Producer James Jack said, this is great, said Barker's vision was dark, sexual, and filled with mysticism, which sounds like every Clive Barker movie ever made.
Nailed it.
Luckily, they moved on from that. We did not get that movie.
We didn't get that one.
Universal, during casting, wanted a big established actor for Rick, the character of Rick, who
Rick
eventually
O'Connell.
Yeah, eventually went to Brendan Fraser. Actors that turned it down because of scheduling and other reasons: Tom Cruise, the first time, Brad Pitt,
Bradford.
and Ben Affleck. Like, I don't think Ben Affleck couldn't have been super huge at this time, but it was after Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
So he had kind of established himself, but I don't remember him being I don't remember him like carrying movies at this time.
Not by himself.
Last factoid, they moved the release up of this movie 2 weeks. They moved it up 2 weeks to get away from a little movie called Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Smart move by them.
Yeah, so
Because those Star Wars fans were clogging the lines
yeah, so
with their tints.
let me give you an idea for the box office for 1999. Star Wars Episode 1 is number one with a total gross of $431 million. So the $400 million we gave you was the world take for The Mummy. Then there's The Sixth Sense, Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me, Toy Story 2, The Matrix, Tarzan, Big Daddy, The Mummy's down at number 8. So it was a top 10 movie in 1999.
Number 2 or 3 in my heart.
Yeah, just ahead of The Runaway Bride, which was a big Julia Roberts movie.
Wake Up with Flim.
Wait, who?
That is Joan Cusack's husband's radio show. Wake Up with Flim.
Oh, wow. Deep cut.
Yeah,
Deep
you're
cut,
welcome.
Deep Runaway Bride cut.
You weren't ready for Joan Cusack.
I wasn't ready, and I don't care. Yeah, so those are kind of the factoids right there. This movie was a huge hit. It was a huge hit.
Oh, I love the Mummy franchise.
Yeah, the whole franchise.
I for sure have seen 1 and 2.
Just another interesting factoid. 2, The Mummy 2 is like the coming onto the scene of a little guy named Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He
My
plays
twin.
the Scorpion King in some truly bad CGI.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, they spin it off with a Scorpion King solo movie,
I definitely owned it and watched it.
which wasn't nearly as good as The Mummy 2. The Mummy 2 isn't as good as Mummy 1, and Scorpion King isn't as good as Mummy 2. And then there's a Mummy 3, which we don't speak of these things.
I think Jet Li's in that.
He is.
I really don't think I've ever seen it.
Yeah. They recast Rachel Weisz's character.
Oh, well, I don't
Evelyn.
like that.
Yeah.
Don't like it
Because
at
she
all.
didn't even want to be in it. And yeah, it's just not a great movie. So let's just get into what holds up, Cody. What holds up in this movie?
Brendan Fraser.
Oh, man. He's so good, right?
So he does a lot of subtle things during this movie. And he knows how to hit the comedic moments and then turn it back to, I'm serious, I'm engaged, I'm going to be this rough and tough action star. And yeah, his performance definitely holds up, and it reminds me like, oh yeah, the 90s into the early aughts, we all loved Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
And then it was so long.
Yeah. Yeah. Brendan Fraser, like, in order to give people the idea of how big this movie is. So we all still loved Indiana Jones at this point.
Yes.
In 1999. They hadn't totally ruined that franchise for us. And this movie comes out, and it's just kind of a surprise because Brendan Fraser had been in things like
George of the Jungle.
Airheads. Like, there were movies out there that hey, why are you chuckling? Airheads is a great movie.
Well, I was chuckling at George of the Jungle.
Oh, I was like, are you slandering Airheads with
No.
Adam Sandler and Steve Buscemi?
No, because it features the music of the Gin Blossoms as well. So
Another deep cut.
you're welcome.
So of course, what was his big movie? The one where he was a caveman. That was kind of his splash onto the scene. Was it the one with
Encino Man.
Encino Man? Yeah, with Sean Astin, I believe, is in that movie, or Pauly Shore. Yeah, I can't remember.
Gang.
Yeah, the gang. But this movie, I think it was the closest thing to Indiana Jones without being Indiana Jones that they had gotten.
Yes.
And I like to think in an alternate reality, Brendan Fraser like picks up and fills that space after the original Indiana Jones trilogy, and everything after that's kind of atrocious.
I stopped at 3 with Indiana Jones.
But this movie was so much fun. And yeah, Brendan Fraser gets a lot of the credit. He's amazing. He's amazing in this movie. Really carries it.
Yes.
This is what made him a bankable star.
Give him my money.
Yeah.
Now.
What else? What else holds up?
I honestly love a good archaeology / action movie. Like, we're looking for this rare artifact that no one has seen for thousands of years. And, there might be a little bit of mysticism attached to it. And now it's trying to kill the whole world. Yeah, sign me up.
Yeah, all right. It's always fun. The archaeology, you combine a little history, a little supernatural evil, and and a hero. Of course, the heroes are always present. And this movie I have down in my what's good. It's just fun.
It is.
I'm watching it with my oldest daughter, Ayla, and I don't think she had any expectations for it. And it's just a fun ride. It's kind of in fact, they made a ride for this movie at Universal Studios. It's still there. I've actually been on it.
I have not been fortunate enough to go to Universal Studios.
Yeah, I went to Orlando. This was way back when my wife and I were engaged, and she had a conference that she went to in Orlando. We went to Universal Studios. We didn't go to Disney. We did Universal.
Probably a little bit cheaper.
Did the Jaws ride and did the Mummy ride. The Mummy ride was legit.
They didn't have the Harry Potter Wizarding World yet.
No. They still had like the Back to the Future ride, which kind of made me sick because there was a lot of camera movement and the seats are moving and a lot of 1.21 gigawatts and such.
Great Scott.
And then I remember the highlight of Universal Studios at that time was a Shrek experience. Like they have these theaters on the regular now where you like get hit with air.
Yes.
At one point, Donkey sneezes and the chair in front of you sprays you. Yeah, it was wild. But that was like the big thing at Universal back then. But the Mummy was it was fun. And my daughter, Ayla, told me she liked it better than the Indiana Jones movies. She really liked it.
Oh, that's bold. But if you happen to have watched The Crystal Skull, The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and whatever this last one was called, it's definitely miles ahead of those two.
Yeah, we allow our children to be wrong. We let them. All right, you can go with that if you'd like. The last thing I have on what holds up that you didn't mention is the effects. For the time in 1999, the effects of this movie were cutting edge.
Okay, so early on, I had that same opinion. Mm-hmm. As the movie goes on, I then am like,
Are you sure?
This is what's not so good. This becomes trash real fast.
Well, you got to be careful, though, because I just remember when I saw it, everybody was blown away by it.
Well, early on, I'm watching, and I'm like, eat your heart out, James Cameron and Avatar. And Leah's like, it's not
get crazy.
It's good for the time, Cody, but like, it's not Avatar good. And I'm like, whatever. And then it like keeps going, and they do some extreme things with like the dead. Yeah. And as that's happening, it's like, oh, okay, like this could benefit from the George Lucas cash grab strategy of I'm going to re-release it, but with updated graphics and like pour in a little bit of money into the CGI and make it look better.
The scene where the sandstorm overtakes the airplane.
The sandstorm is legit.
With the mummy's face kind of swallows the plane in the sand. That was iconic. I remember that was in all the commercials. But yeah, I mean, it's just fun. The effects at the time were good. I remember people being blown away by them. And it's such a simple adventure kind of movie where at heart, the Indiana Jones movies were simple. I think when you back away from them, you think they're complex. Like because they're always about some ancient artifact, and there's always it seems like we're talking smart, but really when you look at the story, it's simple. And the Mummy's like that. You get the 10-minute intro in the past where we find that this priest in ancient Egypt has been stealing the Pharaoh's girl.
How dare you, sir?
They get caught, and the Pharaoh, they kill the Pharaoh, but then they get cursed.
Yep, it happens to the best of us.
Yeah, they get caught for killing the Pharaoh, and they get cursed. And essentially, the movie begins in earnest with the French Legion, the French Foreign Legion, which Brendan Fraser, Rick, just happens to be a part of, even though he's very American. I'm not really sure. Nothing's ever explained.
Hello, it's the French Foreign Legion.
Yeah.
So he's part of the foreign aspect for France.
I don't think that's how that works.
I'm 95% certain that's how it did in this movie.
They're never even identified as the French Foreign Legion. I just know that's who it's supposed to be.
I loved it.
They stumble across the city of the dead out in the desert. He makes his way back after getting sprung from prison by Evelyn, who has stumbled upon a map and a key. It's the same old yarn.
It is.
And then they go on an adventure to try and recover these artifacts, which just happen to be the same place as the resting place for this cursed priest named Imhotep, who is now and then of course they accidentally unleash him.
Unleash the beast.
Yeah. And then it's all about defeating him and, making your way out with just a couple treasures. As they do, as any good hero does in an archaeology movie. Let's move on to what doesn't hold up, Cody. Cody, what doesn't hold up?
Okay. So I'm going to get like a little picky with the few things I have.
Do it.
So the first one is that, so I already talked about the graphics. Like at times it's trash, but at other times it's like, whoa, this kind of still holds up.
Consistency is an issue, yeah.
Yes. But the first point, and I don't think that this would get brought up in a movie today, is when the priest has been initially unleashed and they're going after, the priest is going after Benny, who has been a rube this whole time. Benny starts praying into like a whole bunch of different deities, but then he gets to Hebrew and he starts praying in Hebrew. And he's like, oh, you prayed the slave language.
Yes, the ancient creature says, oh, the language of the slaves. What was the point? Like, that is not explained on any level.
So at this point, I'm like, okay, so the language has changed a lot in 3,000 years.
Right.
He would not understand them. Also, what has some issue is within a lot of archaeological circles, they don't identify the Hebrews actually being in Egypt. That's a point of contention within some archaeological circles. So the Moses story, especially if you attach it to the pyramids. Now, if you stay away from the pyramids, maybe. But within...
Well, you can't attach it to the pyramids. They're much older.
Yes. So at this point, there is a little bit of issue with, like, how Benny and this priest are communicating, and also, like, how does this priest know Hebrew? Come on.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's confirmed. The ancient creature knows the language that he's speaking, and he holds up the Star of David necklace, and he's like, "Oh, the language of the slaves." And so, yeah, clearly that all happened. That's proof.
Exactly.
That's what we like to call proof. I'm not sure anything. Well, obviously, historically, it's all over the place.
It is a little bit.
But I'm not so sure anything about Imhotep's curse makes any sense. Why does he get the biblical plagues? Like, what was that?
Yeah, so they bring up like each plague during this movie, and I'm like, this has nothing to do with the Egyptian side of things.
Yeah, so here's the wild part. Seti the First, Seti the First is actually, that's the pharaoh that Imhotep gets cross with.
Yes.
He is actually the predecessor in real history to Ramses II, who, according to Exodus and the Moses story, is the pharaoh during all that, which means Imhotep would have no knowledge of the biblical plagues that have not happened yet.
Oof.
So historically, it's weird. Like, why would you even use the plagues? And why would they have control over it? Why would he have mastery over it? That's the whole thing. If he's cursed, why does he get power at all? And if his curse is eternal death, why does he need to be revived? None of that really makes any sense, but I don't know that it's supposed to.
I didn't need it to. I could go with it.
What else doesn't hold up?
Okay, so I'm going to call out the two ladies
The two ladies
of this film.
Oh.
Rachel Weisz.
Weisz? Rachel Weisz? You had a problem with Rachel Weisz?
No, I don't. But I'm going to tell you why we have a problem with her today.
Okay.
And Patricia Velasquez, a.k.a.
Anaksu Namun.
So in the movie, they go out of their way to say Evelyn's dad was a famous explorer, archaeologist, and he loved Egypt so much, he married Evelyn's mom, who was Egyptian. Rachel is 0% Egyptian in real life.
Oh, we're going here.
Yeah, we're going here. And Patricia Velasquez, you might be thinking, this actress and model, where is she from?
She sounds Hispanic.
Venezuela.
Yeah.
So, like, if we're making this movie today, there will be some major pushback on the internet just because these people are not even close to who they say they are.
Look, they did have Oded Fair.
Well, I'm not saying that it was a complete bust.
And Eric Avari it looks Middle Eastern of descent.
Yes.
I don't know that for sure, but yeah. I mean, I hear you.
I was nitpicking at this point, but
we just had a Cleopatra series on Netflix that was all African Americans.
Yes.
And so, like, I feel like we're just going to do this thing where it's your vision's your vision. And yes, do I think...
Although Rachel did a good job as Evelyn.
Yeah, and I definitely will say something about this later. Because at heart, I agree, because there is stuff in this that's a little bit wonky, and we'll talk about it. The last thing I have, what doesn't hold up, it's almost too campy at times. There's a scene where the old guy, after they've like opened the book, and he's like, "What have we done?" It just made me laugh out loud. So it's campy, but then at certain segments, they get overly serious.
Oh, yeah. Like, this movie doesn't settle with a mood or temperament. It just goes to like back and forth. Mm-hmm. And it does its best when it is a more gradual and subtle thing. But like, I loved after the sand face swallows the plane and the plane eventually goes down, that the pilot, he dies, which is what he's been wanting.
Yeah, he wanted to die in battle.
He wanted to die in battle. But then, like, he's just sitting there with his, like, hands across his lap, and then the plane just starts going down. They just look and watch as it's going into the quicksand.
He salutes Brendan Fraser salutes as like allegedly it's in quicksand, but only one part of the plane sinks. So he just hit the perfect part.
Yes.
Yeah, that was weird. That was weird.
And it justified my childhood fear of quicksand.
Yeah. Let's go into deeper themes. What are some of the deeper themes of this movie?
I'll let you start off.
I mean, it's your normal hero's journey, right? You have the hero who is nobody. He's a nobody. He's in prison at the beginning of the movie. He gets out. He's bailed out, essentially. But this is not his fight. He has no reason to do this. But sacrificially, he's in it to try and help these people. And, of course, he falls in love with the girl because at heart, this is a romantic adventure.
Yes.
As we liked back in the day. It's got your prototypical hero's journey where I'm going to sacrifice myself for the greater good. There's no reason for him. I mean, he could have just at any time been like, I'm out.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, there's definitely good versus evil in it. And some evidently overt Judeo-Christian overtones with we have to have the plague and we have to have Benny praying and
weird biblical stuff in here. But you can tell this is maybe one of the older movies where you can really tell that the script got reworked a few times. Because it seems like there's things in here from a different movie. That scene where he recognizes the Hebrew, that was weird. That was just like not explained at all.
A lot of things with Benny really aren't explained well.
Yeah. And so this movie, has some strange things here and there. But deeper themes, pretty simple. Other than, it has some weird biblical stuff just randomly tossed in there.
It's a love story.
Yeah. Oh, I did appreciate the love story from both sides.
Yes.
Because even though Imhotep is the bad guy, he's a supernatural mummy, at the beginning does a very good job, and his love for her, for Amun, is the driving force behind this. And what you're left to glean as the audience member is that she was one of the Pharaoh's ladies, and he didn't really care about her, but the Imhotep really cares about her and does everything about this need to resurrect her.
Yes. Even though she's like, I'll kill the Pharaoh, and you know what? You can resurrect me. You're the only one that can. She kind of seems a little self-conceited.
Yeah, but there's what I'm trying to say is the sympathetic bad guys. Because at heart, they're in an unjust system as well.
And, I mean, Evelyn and Rick, you get both of them talking and having these little side moments where they're frustrated at the other one, but it's because they care for each other. And you get it from both sides.
All right, let's do a fast recast. What if we were remaking this movie today? Do you want to go first? We got three characters, Rick, Evelyn, and Imhotep.
I will tell you, I sent you an article last night that millennials and Gen Z really hate remakes, and I'm amongst them. Like, if it's something that came out in my lifetime or something that's beloved, I don't want it remade. But
that's not the point.
I will play along with your charade here.
We get to pretend like we're casting directors, and we're probably better at it. That's what I'm saying. It's fun, but we also get to show off how good we'd be as casting directors.
So I will go with
who's your Rick?
Chris Pratt.
That's the easy, obvious choice.
It is the easy, obvious one. And I'm good with being easy and obvious. For Evelyn.
Wait. Do I get to give my Rick?
Oh, you go.
I'm going to go a little bit more under the radar. I'm going to go Zachary Levi because he's got the action chops and the comedic chops. Chris Pratt obviously does too. But I'm gonna go with the original heart of their casting, which Brendan Fraser was still an up and coming guy back then. He wasn't a huge star. Chris Pratt's a huge star by this point, and I'm gonna say Zachary Levi.
I don't think Zach's up and coming though.
Well, no, but he's not a huge star.
He's been in the limelight and he's lost it a few times.
Yeah, so is Chris Pratt, though.
Yeah, I'm saying like
They're similar dudes in that vein.
that they're not. You're not keeping with the heart of Brendan Fraser's casting.
Mine's better.
Nope.
Who's your Evelyn?
Anya Taylor-Joy.
That's a good choice. I didn't even think about her, but that's a good choice. I went with Daisy Ridley.
Oh, I like that one.
Yeah, keep her British. It's very in line with the Rachel Weisz casting, which you just eviscerated.
Yes.
But to be fair, there were a lot of British people in there at that time because of colonialism.
Oh yeah, I had no beef with it except for
They said she had Egyptian blood.
Yeah, they went out of their way to make it a point. If they didn't, I would not have brought it up.
Yeah, I gotcha. Who's your Imhotep?
You know, that was the one I struggled with.
Really? Okay.
Because I'm like,
I went Egyptian.
okay, who's your person? Because I have someone in my mind. I just need to find out what their name is.
And I believe, I think he's at least been nominated for an Academy Award, but I'm going with Rami Malek.
Oh.
Yeah, he's Egyptian.
Okay.
He's got Egyptian heritage in him. And I'm going Rami Malek. I think he'd be great. He's smaller than Vosloo, Arnold Vosloo.
A lot smaller.
Yeah, a lot smaller. Arnold was a big dude. But I think he could be more menacing as a smaller guy. That's scary.
It also seems more realistic as a priest.
Yeah. So I'm going with Rami Malek, and I think he'd be the headliner as the Mummy.
So I'm going with this is a random one. I'm switching the gender. I'm making it a priestess.
That's what the Tom Cruise Mummy did.
May Calamawai. She was Moon Knight. She was in Moon Knight. She was the Egyptian Palestinian girlfriend of.
She was great in Moon Knight. I liked her.
Yeah. So I'm like, I want to keep that part for sure Egyptian.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think.
We both went Egyptian
Yes.
for that part. Yeah. See, we can do this.
But I would write out the line of my mother was Egyptian.
Yeah, that was weird. They didn't have to do that.
They didn't.
Okay, who's your winner of the movie?
It definitely was Brendan Fraser.
Agree. Brendan Fraser, like it's hard to put into words for people that this is the kind of out of their wheelhouse, how much this made Brendan Fraser a bankable star. Like this made him huge. And you're probably wondering, you're probably going, if you're not familiar with Brendan Fraser, you're like, well, wait a minute. Dave, he wasn't. He's been gone for like so many years. Well, this is the tragic part of this story. So there's a whole thing here that nobody knew. He just kind of drops off the face of the earth for a while. And no one really knows what happened until the Me Too movement. So a few years back when the Me Too movement happens, Brendan Fraser comes out and says that he was harassed and, in so many ways, I guess assaulted because he was unwantedly touched.
Yes.
By someone who was like on the board of the foreign press, the Golden Globes people, someone really powerful in Hollywood. And he comes out there with this story. And basically what happened to him, he stops getting invited to the Golden Globes after it happens. He stops getting, invited to, to try and be in movies, to try out for a role.
Yep.
He falls into a terrible depression because he feels like he can't say anything.
Really, the only people that still know he exists are the fans of Scrubs.
Of course, yes. But his wife, who he had 3 kids with, just like randomly up and leaves him in 2007. And so he had a real tough go of it. And that's what makes his comeback in the last couple of years with The Whale and his awards that he won. That's what makes it so awesome because, he's been through it.
So Sir Ian McKellen starred in a movie with Brendan Fraser called Gods and Monsters. It came out the year before.
Mm-hmm. That was kind of his comeback movie, I think.
Ian McKellen says that Brendan Fraser is one of the, if not the most talented thespian or actor that he had ever acted with. Sir Ian McKellen.
That's high praise.
That is.
And you hear nothing but great things about Brendan Fraser. In fact, people love Brendan Fraser so much that there were petitions on change.org to cast him in movies, essentially, because he essentially got blacklisted in a lot of ways. And so, but now he's back, and he's a big deal again, which is just great because, man, if you read the full story, it's just heartbreaking.
Honestly, when he came on the screen during Killers of the Flower Moon, I'm like, okay, I'll stay in this chair for another 30 minutes.
It's the only thing. There's been rumors of a Mummy 4, like bringing Brendan Fraser back. He did an interview with Deadline when asking if he'd be open to starring in the Mummy, another Mummy movie. He replied, gosh, I don't know any juicy details about it, but it's kind of an open-ended question for some time now. I'm not opposed to it. I don't know an actor that doesn't want a job. I don't think I've been this famous and unsalaried at the same time in my professional life, so sign me up.
Yeah.
He's just so charming.
Name it and claim it.
And he seems so nice, and I just want the best of things for him. He's the winner of the movie, even if things get really tragic for him after this for a while. Who's your loser of the movie?
Patricia Velasquez.
Yeah, she doesn't get a lot to do.
She doesn't, besides, she makes that sound like the 5 minutes she's on the screen because she's like a zombie mummy creature lady.
She's about as close to naked as you can get from the first 15 minutes of the movie. It's PG-13.
Yes.
So when I say as close as you can get without it,
there's just a lot of gold paint.
There was some very creative filming going on there because she ain't wearing much, but somehow, some way, nothing, it's good.
And then she has another 10 to 15 minutes after she's sort of brought back, but not fully brought back.
Yeah, she's still kind of a zombie thing.
She's making screeching sounds.
Yeah.
So you're welcome for the dramatic reacting of that.
The loser of the movie, Egyptians. And we kind of got into this a little bit. The Middle Eastern characters, the Egyptians that are in the movie, they're depicted as super backwards, bumbling, smelly.
Yep.
Yeah, and that guy, I feel like that actor who played the Egyptian that's with them, I feel like he's played that exact role several times.
Warden Gad is the character. Omid Djali.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen him in that same role. And it just is a little too caricaturish for me. It was kind of cringy.
It was. And so this movie did make me look up stuff, though.
Oh, good for you.
So
you're learning.
I did have to look up like what the top speed of a camel was compared to a horse.
Yeah. Are they faster?
So there's like the top speed of an Arabian horse is like 44 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. Top speed of a camel is a little above 40 miles an hour. So they're comparable.
Yeah, they're comparable.
Which I would not have guessed. But as Rachel's riding across the desert, she's booking it. And I'm like...
They beat them easily. Americans on horseback, who it's not their first rodeo.
You would think not.
Yeah, that was weird. And I thought the same thing. I'm like, I don't think that would have happened.
But yes, Egyptians, not only in the movie, but in real life, because throughout the history of archaeology, the British are like, oh, that's nice. We'll take it. Yeah. And so in this movie, basically the Western world capitalized off of some cool, almost historical, accurate stuff. And we're like, cash grab.
Like, look, it's a period piece. It takes place in the 20s.
Yep, 1925.
So, like, I get that it might be a little cringy, but the depiction of Egyptians is backwards when there's, like, huge metropolitan areas. And it's not, I mean, It's an advanced civilization.
They also have one of the nicest museums in the world.
Yeah. So it's just a little cringy, but it happens sometimes when we go back into these older films.
It's not Brendan Fraser's fault.
No. Cody, how many golden books of the dead are you giving this out of 10?
There's a little nostalgia factor into this, so you're going to be like, that seems ridiculously high, but I'm not separating it. It's 8.
Yeah. When I first saw this, it was 8.5. Last night when I rewatched it, I'm giving it an 8. It's just fun.
Yeah.
It made me miss movies where we didn't have an expectation for them, right? And I understand. Yes, I'm aware this was IP. Yes. Universal had done a Mummy movie back in the 1930s, but it really was a brand new story. And thus, it just makes me miss like movies that could just surprise us and that aren't, like obviously Scorsese's making original stories, right?
Yes.
He's coming out with original content, but those aren't fun. This movie is like, and that's not a dig on Scorsese. It's just, you don't go see those to just have fun. This one was just fun. And I miss these kind of movies.
And if you're going to do a remake, wait 60, 70 years before you do the remake. And
let us cast it.
Let us cast it. Clearly, that's the moral of the story.
Do we get paid for that?
Maybe.
Yeah, awesome. All right. What did you guys think of a rewatch of The Mummy? Make sure and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're on Instagram now.
The Gram, as the kids call it. And comment on what you thought, agree, disagree on some of the things we said. Don't forget to join the Facebook Pop Culture Pastor community group. Join the group so you can vote in the ongoing March Madness breakfast cereal brackets. All the cereal, all the time.
Hey, everybody. The world is trying to divide us by the things we don't have in common. We believe on Pop Culture Pastor in recognizing the things we do have in common, notably a love of stories, TV, movie, pop culture, because we're better together.
That we are.
We'll see you next time. Pop Culture Pastor.